Hey, before I start, I just want to shout out, there's a guy wearing a Canucks hat in the front row. If we could get security to come, we're going to need, I'm just kidding. Hey, welcome to RIZN, everybody. How we feeling tonight? How we feeling? Man, tonight's going to be so special. We're in week 2 of our series called RIZN in point 5. Say point 5. Point 5. Here's the deal. Tonight, if you post, whoever posts the best point 5 on Instagram with your friends, if you tag at RIZN Youth, you'll be entered to win a gift card immediately. All you got to do is post a point 5 with your friends at RIZN on Instagram any point tonight, and you're going to be entered to win a gift card. We'll give you a gift card at church on Sunday, but I need a point 5 with my friends to post. So I want to, can everybody, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get everybody in. Maybe you guys, that section, could you guys just stand up? Actually, that whole section, just stand up. I need a point 5 quick. You guys, sorry guys. Everybody say RIZN. Okay, maybe I'll get this section in too. RIZN. Okay, let's see how it looks. Do you guys get posted? Oh yeah, it looks great. Give it up for yourself. That was awesome. So I'm going to post that as soon as I'm done this message, but you... Oh, come on. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Man, thank you guys so much. It truly is an honor to be speaking tonight, and honestly, this feels like the best birthday party ever. I got 200 of my favorite people in a room, and we're about to talk about Jesus. This is the best. So thank you guys. Thank you guys. Aww, I'm so honored. Hey, but this whole series, RIZN in point 5, the whole idea of a point 5 picture is when you take a point 5, it causes you to zoom out on your life. It causes you to zoom out, and then you can see more of what's in your frame. And that's exactly what we want to do over the coming weeks. As we start off our year, we want to zoom out and see if we have the right things in our frame. And today's my 22nd birthday. Thanks for singing. That was awesome. But I've kind of just been reminiscing on my life as I was writing this today, and kind of just zooming out on my life as a whole. And I looked back, and June 10th of 2012 was my first time attending this church. That was 13 years ago, June 10th of 2012. And that day, honestly, it changed my life forever. Do you guys remember your first time coming to church? Anybody? Actually, do we have any first-timers in the room? Maybe tonight's your first time. We got a couple. Make some noise for the first-timers. That's sick. That's amazing. Welcome, you guys. My first time at church, it wasn't at RIZN. It was actually coming on a Sunday morning, and I was 9 years old in 2012, and so I woke up bright and early, and I was ready to play some Roblox. I was ready. Come on. I was about to, I don't know if you guys still play. Anybody still play Roblox? Wow. That's crazy. Well, my username on Roblox was so creative. Get this. I couldn't decide what I wanted it to be, and there was a Sharpie sitting on my desk, so my username, search me up, it's Sharpie2000. Go look. Trust me. I had a Sparkle Time fedora back then. I was ripping Roblox, and I was ready to play some work at a pizza place, and then my mom woke up, and she came downstairs, and I just remember she just seemed a little bit different. And then she told me that she was going to try out this new church that she got invited to. And to be honest, we had been attending a different church and kind of had an interesting experience. And looking back, it makes perfect sense because the church is this beautiful thing. It's a bunch of imperfect people who come together to serve the only perfect one who ever walked this earth. That's our God. That's Jesus. But I had a weird experience at church, and then at the same time, my grandma had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and we knew there wasn't much time left, to be honest, and we were kind of just ready for a fresh start. We had to zoom out. We were just ready for something new, and so we go to this church, and it was called Church on 99 at the time, and I remember walking in this room, and I just remember my eyes were burning as I walked inside. And at first I thought it was because of my sin, but it was just because this building was so dark and all they had were these like black lights in there. And it was just like, it was like my high school bathroom. It was just so smoky and you couldn't see anything. And it was crazy. But I walked up to this desk and there was this guy there and his name was Ben. And he got curly hair, he looked kind of weird, he talked kind of weird, and his name was Ben, and he helped me get checked in to what we now call Celebration Kids for the very first time, and he just told me one problem. He was like, we can't call you Ben, we have to call you something else because there's too many Bens here. And if you heard Noel last week, he explained that I had to be called Strawberry Ben. For literally like 5 or 6 years, I was Strawberry Ben, and this day changed my life, guys. Like, I just loved church from this point forward. I had never been to a church where I could play dodgeball and laser tag and Smash Bros. And just have so much fun and play floor hockey all at the same time. It was amazing, and the services were like nothing else. And over time, I just started to fall in love with church. I just loved church, and I got super involved. I would go to church on Sundays. The minute I turned 12, I started going to RIZN on Fridays. And we got any 12-year-olds in the room? Any? Oh, wow, there's actually a good amount. Yeah, wow. And I shout out 12-year-olds. I went to RIZN on Fridays, church on Sundays, but it was more than that, guys. Like, I just loved the church. My leaders at the time, they were leading connect groups, so I was at the church midweek, getting in connect groups, and I started helping with anything I could. I started helping with different projects and different events, and when I was in grade 8, I started serving on our production team. Do you guys know who our production team is back there? Make some noise for the production team. The production team's a little interesting. You kind of just hide behind everybody, but then you like kind of make the whole thing happen. These guys are responsible for everything, for the lyrics behind me, for all these graphics, for the lights, for the sound. These guys make it possible for you to be in the room tonight. And the perfect thing is that there's no age requirement to serve on a team, like the production team. And so when I was in grade 8, I started serving, and I was on RIZN production almost weekly. And at the time, there was this guy named Isaac, a little fun, a little interesting. Isaac, he's a little weird, and he was overseeing all things production. And I remember I helped him with a few projects, and then I was standing in his office one day, and I just asked him, like, Isaac, I just love this. I just love the church. I love being here. Can I come more often? What if I came weekly and just helped you with stuff around the church? And my time at church just kept exploding from that point on. There was times where me and my friend Achir, you guys you might know Achir. Sometimes he drums here at RIZN, and he was learning drums at church, and then we would bus together to church 3 or 4 days a week. And the nearest bus stop was 20 minutes away, but we didn't care. We just wanted to be in the church. It didn't matter. It would be minus 30, and it would be just pouring snow, and it didn't matter. We just wanted to be here. We just loved the church. And one time, Isaac asked me to help him with a project, and I was kind of confused, but he actually asked me to help fix this speaker right here. And let me teach you guys some stuff. That's the best looking 15-year-old you've ever seen. Look at that guy. Come on. So I'm fixing this speaker right here, and let me teach you guys something. Actually, the production team will thank me later, but these speakers in the ceiling, those are probably what you hear my voice out of right now. Those ones are responsible for almost all the sound, but these speakers and the one over there, they're called subwoofers. So they're responsible for the boom, the boom, 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 boom. And so I was responsible for fixing the boom in this place. And the thing is, I didn't know what I was doing, but I figured out how to fix it, and I was so excited to do this project that I told Isaac that I had a PD day. So I told him I didn't have school. So I showed up here on like a random Tuesday in the middle of the day, and he didn't know any better. He was young as well, and I just told him I didn't have school. And the problem is, Isaac thought I didn't have school, so he took this picture of me and posted it on his Instagram. No big deal, right? Except my mom follows this guy on Instagram. So my mom, my boomer mom, she's scrolling through probably Facebook, not Instagram, and sees this picture of me replacing these speakers, and she's like, oh, I'm so proud, oh my gosh, like she's so excited. Then she realized the picture got posted at like 11 a.m. She's like, why are you at the church at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday? And I remember picking up this phone call and just like, it was so awkward, guys. I'm picking up this phone call and being like, hello, Ben, why are you at church? And I just remember saying, like, I just want to. I just love the church. Like, doesn't it make sense, Mom? Like, isn't it normal for me to be at the church? Like, all I want to do is be at the church. I just love the church. Man, school not teaching me anything in grade 8. I wasn't learning anything. You are learning stuff, trust me. But I wanted to be at the church. The church was the best thing ever. The church is the best thing ever. I just craved it. And when we look at Jesus' life, we have almost nothing that shows us what his life was like as a teenager, but we do have this one little passage in Luke 2 that I want to read with you guys today. It says, Luke 2, 41 to 52, it says, now his parents went to Jerusalem. Sorry, guys, speech impediment. Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover. And when he was 12 years old, shout out the 12-year-olds again. When he was 12 years old, they went up according to custom. So they're going to Jerusalem. And when the feast had ended, as they were returning, the boy Jesus, he stayed behind in Jerusalem. So his parents, they were leaving because the feast had ended. They were going back home. But it was literally like an episode of Home Alone. This guy just stayed back, and his parents didn't realize it. It says his parents did not know it, but supposing him to be in the group, they went a day's journey. So they traveled a whole day. But then they began to search for him among their relatives and acquaintances. And when they did not find him, they returned to Jerusalem. So they had to spend another day coming all the way back and searching for him after 3 days. After 3 days of searching for this guy, they found him in the temple, sitting among the teachers, listening to them, asking questions. He was in the church. And all who heard him were just amazed at how he understood, and they were amazed at his answers. And when his parents saw him, they were astonished, it says. His mother said to him, son, why have you treated us so? Why have you treated us like this? Behold, your father and I have been searching for you in great distress. And Jesus answers, he says to them, why were you looking for me? Did you not know that I must be in my Father's house? Didn't you know that I would be at the church? Isn't it normal? Jesus' parents were looking for him, and he asked why. And this guy was missing for 3 days. And he goes, why were you even looking for me, bruh? Like, what are you doing? And I just love it. He says, did you not know that I must be in my Father's house? He's saying, Mom, isn't it normal for me to be in my Father's house? Isn't it normal for me to spend time at the church? He's saying, of course I'm going to be at the church. He's not saying, like, why were you looking for me? You didn't need to look for me. He's saying, why were you looking for me? The only place it would ever make sense for me to spend this much time is at the church. Here's the coolest part. You might have missed this. Luke 2, verses 46 to 47, it says, after 3 days, they found him in the temple, sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions. See, Jesus wasn't just in the church. He was participating in the church. He wasn't just in the building, but he was participating in his Father's house. He was a part of what was going on. He wasn't just sitting there. Man, so many of us are good at part one. We're good at sitting there among the teachers. But Jesus went above. He was participating. He was listening, and he was asking questions. And he was involved. He was intentional in taking part with what was going on in the church. Come on. Isn't it normal for me to be in my Father's house? Let me ask you, is it normal for you to be in your Father's house? Is it normal for you to be in the church? See, Jesus knew at a young age that he was going to be used for a big mission and a big purpose. And based on his identity, it was just normal for him to be in the church. It was just a natural expression of who he was to spend time in the church. And come on, the same is true for you. God has put you on this earth for a reason. He has specific gifts that he has placed inside of you, and he has a specific plan and a specific purpose for your life, but he also has a specific way that he wants to use you to serve and to build his church. Come on, make some noise if you love the church. First Peter 4, verse 10, it says, as each of us has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. Come on, it's your natural expression of the gifts that God has placed inside of you to spend time in the church. Of course, I'm going to be in the church. Of course, I'm in my Father's house. Of course, I'm going to be at RIZN every week, no matter what. Of course, I'm going to show up early for RIZN. Why wouldn't I? Of course, I want to help with setup. Of course, I'm going to start serving on a team on Sundays. Of course, I'm going to join a connect group. Of course, I want to lead a connect group one day. Of course, I want to use the gifts that God has given me to serve him. Mom, of course, I'm in my Father's house. What do you mean? Of course. Of course. Isn't it normal for you to be in your Father's house? See, it's a natural expression of who you are, of who as God has made you to be, to spend time in your Father's house. And spending time in the church, in his house, it builds your relationships. It builds your faith. It shows you your true purpose. It gives you fulfillment and joy like never before. The church, it's bigger than anything you could ever see, but it's small enough that it'll change your life. It'll make you great. Come on, it's time to zoom out on your life. And it's time for you to spend some more time in the church this year. God's plan to save this world is through the church. Come on, it's his plan A, and there is no plan B. And you cannot stop God's plan for this world, but you can easily exclude yourself from them. So what can you do? To put it simply, if you couldn't tell, you need to get more involved in the church. The beautiful thing about the church, like I said, is that it's so imperfect, that it's this beautiful mesh of all of us imperfect people working together to serve the one perfect God. And it's so amazing because the church empowers people, it loves people, it knows us, it challenges us, it grows us, it reminds us of what really matters. And if the best first step is that you need to start attending a church on more than just Friday nights. You need to attend on Sunday mornings. That's what you need to do immediately. And if you attend a different church with your family, that's amazing. And please go all in on that. But if you don't, I invite you to be a part of my church, to be a part of Celebration Church right here. We are in these buildings every Sunday. We have 3 services, 9 a.m., 10:30, and noon. The noon is perfect. If you're ripping Roblox in the morning, you can still make it. Trust me. But let me tell you, this is by far the most important thing that you could begin doing in 2025 is joining a church, is being a part of the church. Of course, I'm at the church. Isn't it normal for me to be in the church? Can I invite up Dasha? And, bro, I forgot your name. You just told me. It's Noah. And would you guys just hold this cup? Actually, would you stand in front of the speaker? I want to stand on the speaker. It seems to be my thing tonight. No, go in front of it. See, the thing about the church is just imagine this picture is the church. I'm not going to pour it on you guys. Don't worry. this picture is the church. And you see the church is, it's almost like this picture, because the church has so much that it's usually way more full than this. But the thing about it is let's say Dasha, she starts getting really involved in RIZN, and so she gets poured into because she came to a few services, and Dasha has some really, really amazing leaders, Natasha, Rowena, some other girls, and so those girls start a youth connect group, and so Dasha starts going to those connect groups, and she starts getting more poured into, and then he starts just loving Sunday mornings. He joins the production team, shout out, and he just feels filled up. And then, to be honest, he starts coming on Sunday mornings more than just once a month. He starts coming 4 times a month, and sometimes he sits in 2 services because he really likes Pastor Joel, and he just gets filled up and filled up and filled up, and then maybe Dasha starts going to church more often, so she gets filled up. Maybe the message just hit home for both of them, so they just really, really get filled up. And you see, the thing with this is that their cup starts to overflow. Once it gets filled up, it's just like this pitcher. It starts to look like the same thing. And once you're full, it's literally your natural expression to overflow. And once you overflow, you start to pour out onto others around you. Once you overflow, maybe your cup is just so full because you just keep going to connect groups. You keep replacing speakers. You're there every week, and you're overflowing. You're overflowing. Come on, it's your natural expression of who you are and of who God created you to be, to get filled up by the church and then to overflow and to serve the church and to use the gifts that God put inside of you to serve Him. Thank you, guys. Give it up for these two. Sorry, you can pour it in here if you want. And when you get involved in the church, it starts to sound a little different, because you stop saying, I'm going to the church, and you start saying, would you come with me to my church? It goes from the house to my house. It's not the Father's house, it's my Father's house. Would you join me and come to my Father's house this Sunday? Would you join me? And don't let this overwhelm you. That whole analogy happened pretty quick, but for you, it's probably just one drop at a time. It's one Sunday at a time. It's one Friday at a time. And it's just these little steps that you need to take to fill your cup until you can overflow into others around you. And next week, we're going to have a huge expo. We're going to list all of our serve teams, and we're going to list just everything a part of RIZN, all of our connect groups and leaders. If you're a leader in the room, let me tell you, if you would just look around, there's about 150, 175 people in here right now, and they need to be connected with. And many of us have been a part of connect groups this past year in 2024 as leaders. Many of us, Monday nights, it doesn't matter. It's time for you to overflow into some other people. It's time for you to start a group. It's time. Your cup is full, and it's time to overflow into these people around you. Leaders. And next week, we're going to do a YCG Expo and a Serve Expo. But right now, would you guys all pull your phones out, every single person in the room, pull your phone out, and we're going to put this QR code on the screen. And just so you don't embarrass anybody around you, you all need to scan this QR code. But if you're serious about getting involved in church this year, would you just fill out that form? And we're going to connect with you. And we're going to get you serving somewhere on Friday nights, on Sunday mornings at church. This year is the year that you get involved, the year that you overflow into people around you, the year that you call this church your church. You call it my church. And so if you feel like you're ready for that next step, scan that QR code. We'll keep it up after service as well. But just as we close, I want to tell you guys one more story. As I was just zooming out on my life and just kind of reminiscing on how God has changed everything. In October of 2015, there was one service on a Sunday that changed my life forever. 2015, and it actually wasn't it was kind of our church. We were hosting an event. We had a guest pastor here. It was on Sunday night. It was called Skull Church. I don't know why they called it that, but it was amazing. And I just remember my parents making me go to this thing, and I had been to so many church things that I was just starting to feel like I wasn't getting my cup filled up anymore. And I don't know, something about this night was just so different. The worship just hit different. And then the pastor walked up and he just started explaining the story of Jesus. He started explaining the gospel, and he told me that we were all born into this fallen world, and that's why we need a savior, because we have all made mistakes, or what people will call sins, that make us all fall short of God's standards. And I don't know why, but as he was just telling this story, it just began to pierce my heart, because he told me that there was good news, that even though we've fallen short of God's perfect standard, that he loves us so much that he sent his son down onto this earth to live a life just like you and I, to be tempted in every single way that we are, to live a life as a human just like we are. And the thing about this guy, his name was Jesus, and he lived a sinless life. He was the only human to walk this earth and live a perfect and sinless life. But at the end of his life, he died on a cross, and it wasn't just so that we could wear cross necklaces around our neck, but it was because of something bigger. He paid this price so that you and I could have eternal life, so that we could live forever and be in heaven with him. And 3 days later, after that death, our God rose again, so that anyone who believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. And on that day, I remember him just closing the service and asking if anybody wanted to make a decision to follow him. And I had never felt this before, but I just felt this like feeling in my heart. It was like God was just knocking on the door of my heart. And that day I made a decision that I was going to live for him, that I was going to follow him. And some of these stories I told tonight, it just shows that once I made a decision to follow Jesus, my life changed forever. It was the best decision that I ever made. I got freedom out of it. I got joy. I got peace. I never felt anxiety the way I did before. Again, I had new life because I gave mine to Jesus. And man, if you're in the room tonight and if you were to zoom out on yourself, if you were to take a 0.5, could you say that you're a follower of Jesus? If not, maybe it's time to make a decision to follow him. And it's really simple. Right now, we're just gonna pray a quick prayer. It's really short. And would you guys actually all just close your eyes and bow your heads? And I know that feeling of God is just knocking on the door of your heart. And I encourage you tonight, January 24th of 2025 is your night to make a decision for Jesus. So right now, if that's you, would you just declare? Would you just raise your hand? Would you give me a wave? Would you let me know that you're giving your life to Jesus? Awesome. Yeah, amazing. You can put your hands down. And would everybody in the room, would you guys all just repeat after me? God, thank you so much for sending your son Jesus to die on a cross and pay for my sins. Today I declare that you are Lord of my life, and I'm deciding to follow you. Amen. Man, give it up for everybody who just made that decision. Let's go.